The third installment of the Sonic the Hedgehog movie is shaping up to be one of the biggest films of December. With all these trailers and teasers coming out, I wanted to do a scaling video to coincide with the release of Sonic 3's release, just to see how strong this version of the blue blur really is on the silver screen. But who do I put him up against? I thought about putting him up against Steve from the Minecraft movie coming out next year, but there's nothing to scale the Jack Black Steve. Then I remembered that Disney was putting out the third season of What If, and both come around the same time. So why not put Sonic up against Marvel's greatest heroes of all time, the Avengers? More specifically, the ones from the MCU, not the comics or the games. The 6 main Avengers from the first film, as well as other heroes from Endgame and Infinity War. No variants of Avengers like Darkhold Wanda or Supreme Strange. Now originally I did want to do Sonic versus the MCU, but then remembered characters like Infinity Ultron and Supreme Strange could destroy galaxies. Yeah, Sonic ain't beating that. So before we begin the scaling, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and drop a comment, it helps us grow. And let's begin the scaling. Given the fact that his movie is coming out in just a couple days at the time of this recording, let's start with the main man himself, Sonic the Hedgehog. Now of course, we gotta talk about Sonic's most distinctive trait about him, which is his speed. In the first movie, he was already displaying feats that put him well above the speed of sound, such as him perceiving missiles as frozen, not slowed, but frozen. This already put Sonic in the relativistic speed tiers. That's how fast this rodent perceives things. But more impressively, that blackout Sonic caused in the first movie was able to reach across the universe and gain the attention of Tails. This would mean that the blast Sonic caused would have been traveling massively faster than the speed of light to cross that distance in such a short time. If you want specific numbers to gauge how fast this is, I'll put it on screen. In the second movie, Eggman uses a sonic quill to power his communication device to get off the mushroom planet. The energy output for the device was calculated to be in the island level tiers of power, meaning Sonic would also have this as his AP as well, but given the fact that this was one quill, and Sonic has thousands of them across his body, it could be argued to be higher if he charges it up. Now, I have to emphasize this, I am writing this before the movie comes out, so the context for the feat I'm about to discuss might be completely void, but I feel I have to address this. In the trailer, we see that Shadow is powering Eggman's machine, and it cuts off a large chunk of the moon, putting this feat at bare minimum in the multi-continental ranges of AP to possibly moon level tiers of power, which would mean by extension, Sonic should also be capable of this level of power, since in most trailers and ads, Sonic and Shadow are supposedly equal in power. And this isn't even counting his Super Saiyan, Super Sonic form, which gives him an unknown multiplier to his power and speed. With all these feats, the movie version of Sonic is looking pretty stacked. But will this be enough to take out Earth's mightiest heroes of the cinematic universe? Let's find out. In terms of scaling the Avengers, there's only a couple relevant characters to cover, that being the high tiers and top tiers of the group, since there's no real point to go over the street level characters like Hawkeye, Black Widow, Ant-Man, Spider-Man, or Falcon, cause like what are they gonna do to Sonic? That being said, the characters I would include, not in order, would be Hulk, Iron Man, Captain America with Mjolnir, and Vision as the high tiers, with top tier characters consisting of Thor, Doctor Strange, Wanda, and Captain Marvel. So how strong are the high tier Avengers in terms of attack potency? To start scaling the Avengers' power, we're going to use Thor as a baseline. In Thor's first movie, we saw him shake the planet of Jotunheim surface with one strike of his hammer. This was calculated to be in the country level tiers of energy, and by extension, Iron Man and Hulk would also be in the same range of power, since they were showcased by the fact that they were both able to scrap with Thor at this stage. Needless to say, Captain America wielding Mjolnir would also be in the country level tiers of power too because of the enchantment allowing anyone who is worthy to wield the same power as Thor. So we can safely assume Steve would be on the same level of power as Thor before he gets Stormbreaker. The same reasoning would also apply to Vision as well. Now, during the events of Endgame and Infinity War, the power creep starts to set in, with everyone getting new weapons, and new characters getting introduced to the story. Thor gets upgraded to Stormbreaker, with statements saying that it's one of the strongest weapons in Asgard, meaning it would be stronger than things like Rocket's weapons, which could destroy moons, which I personally believe. We've seen Stormbreaker overpower the 6 Infinity Stones and the Gauntlet, so moon level attack potency wouldn't be too far-fetched. Characters like Doctor Strange, Wanda, Captain Marvel would also be on par, if not stronger than Stormbreaker Thor, being able to stand up against Thanos one-on-one, a character who could casually destroy the Hulk and pre-Stormbreaker Thor one-on-one, as well as possessing the power of Infinity Stones or having Hack's abilities that mimics the power of the stones. There's even statements of Wanda stating that she could have killed Thanos on her own during the events of Endgame. Captain Marvel is easily the strongest Avenger so far, with her restarting the Hala Sun in the Marvels, a feat no one would have known about because no one watched this movie. Anyway, this feat easily puts her above Thor as being the strongest Avenger. While Thor tanked the portion of a star's blast, Captain Marvel had enough power to reignite it on her own, placing her in the small star level tiers of power. As for the speed of the MCU, I've seen a lot of people get these characters in the massively faster than light ranges in terms of travel speed and combat speed. While I do believe in the travel speed part of it, there's feats that have been calculated to be in this range. I don't believe that these characters can fight at massively faster than light speeds like Sonic can, and my main reasoning for this is because of Quicksilver, a character confirmed in guidebooks to be close to the speed of light, and as we can clearly see in Avengers Age of Ultron, none of the Avengers could perceive Quicksilver, and he was constantly speed blitzing them throughout the movie. So any claim suggesting that the Avengers can react anything moving faster than the speed of light is what makes the MCU speed scaling hard to measure, because there are instances in the films where characters have reacted to lasers point blank and have fought on equal ground with them. But just to be safe, I think high tier Avengers like Hulk, Captain America and Vision would be in the massively hypersonic tier due to them being relative to characters who have dodged lightning, while top tier characters in speed would be Thor, Captain Marvel, Doctor Strange, Wanda and Iron Man, since at their peaks they were at one point able to scrap with Thanos, which would mean that their combat speed would be in the sub-relativistic ranges. So with all the Avengers and Sonic scaling covered, who wins? I think it's pretty obvious Sonic is easily faster than every Avenger on the team, including Captain Marvel. Street level characters are not a thing in this matchup. He can one-tap all of them, putting them out of the fight. Now with the high tier characters like Hulk and Captain America with Mjolnir, they would put up more of a fight, but again, due to the massive speed gap between the groups, it's more likely that Sonic would never get touched by them and would wear them down and ultimately win. Iron Man would most likely get blitzed before he can come up with some sort of plan. Vision, same thing, speed blitz before he can phase, and if not, Supersonic easily closes the gap. As for the Mystic / Wizard members of the group like Doctor Strange or Scarlet Witch, if Doctor Strange for example tried to do something like trap Sonic in the mirror dimension to seal him, Sonic can just use his rings to open a door back to the regular world, and because Sonic is still leagues faster than Strange or Wanda, none of their spells or telekinesis would catch him either, so Sonic takes this one more times than none. This leaves two of the strongest Avengers on the team, Captain Marvel and Thor. There's no sugarcoating that Thor and Carol are on par with Sonic, if not stronger than him, even with his super form. The only win condition you could give Sonic is that if you take statements about the Chaos Emeralds literally, and say that Sonic could just wish to be stronger than Thor or Captain Marvel, or even just wish them away, which I personally find to be very speculative and vague for the most part, since we don't know the limits of the Chaos Emeralds. We don't actually know how the Chaos Emeralds operate within the movie version of Sonic the Hedgehog, or whether they would give the same buffs like they do in the games. So if we're only going off feats and calcs, even with the massive speed advantage, Sonic can't really do anything to harm someone who can tank stars or even reignite them. All it would take is one hit for Sonic to go down, meaning the Avengers take the dub over the blue blur. And I kinda hoped with this video that I showed everyone that although movie Sonic is clearly not as strong as his game or Archie counterpart, he's still not someone to be messed around with. But hey, who knows, maybe Super Sonic will get more time to shine during Sonic 3, we'll just have to wait and see. So that's the end of the video for now. Please consider subscribing if you made it to the end, and I'll see you again soon.